Hello and welcome to episode 128 of the HamCorp Training Manual. In this episode, we construct and automate Grade 8 water. And we also discuss why Grade 8 water is purely science fiction. This ended up being quite an involved automation, so that's all we do this episode. Oh yeah, Grade 8 water. Now, there are a few things I want to say about this multi. First of all, I just want to say, my solution is definitely not the best. This one is a little dogshit, but it is, I think, 100% consistent. I haven't had any failures so far, but I think it's a little wasteful because it uses more infinity than it should, but also I can always boost the parallels to make up for that. But I am getting ahead of myself. There are two things we need to talk about before I go over the solution here. First of all, we need to talk about how the multi actually works. The way this works is we need to insert quark releasing catalysts into the input bus while the machine is running. Every recipe cycle, a combination of two different quark releasing catalysts will correctly identify the lone quark and succeed the recipe. Just ignore the identify the lone quark part, that's just lore, basically. The point is you need to figure out what two quark releasing catalysts in order are required to succeed. This will make more sense in a little bit. The order of catalysts in the combination does not matter, so up-down can be identified by inserting down-up, meaning inserting up and then down is the same as inserting down and then up. Again, this will make more sense in a little bit. Every 20 ticks, it consumes all catalysts in the input bus, and the base cost of inserting a catalyst is 1 ingot of molten infinity. For every duplicate occurrence of an inserted catalyst in the sequence, the cost is doubled. This means that if I have provided, for example, an up quark catalyst earlier, and then later on I provide another one, the second one is going to cost twice as much infinity. And then the third one will cost 4 times as much infinity. This catalyst ordering thing is a little confusing, but let's finish reading this. The multi keeps track of the entire sequence of catalysts inserted this recipe, meaning this 2-minute waterline cycle. If the correct catalyst combination is in the sequence of inserted catalysts, immediately output 2000 liters of stabilized baryonic matter, and at the end of a successful recipe, output an additional 500 liters of stabilized baryonic matter per parallel. Also, at the end of the recipe, whether it's successful or not, it will return all incorrectly inserted catalysts in the output bus. So basically what happens is, let's think about all the 6 different types of quark releasing catalysts. There are 6. They are up, down, charm, strange, top, and bottom. This is the same as real life. There are 6 quarks, up, down, charm, strange, top, bottom. And what this multi does is as you insert these catalysts, it keeps track of the order in which you inserted the catalysts. So for example, if I scan this shows the order that I've come up with. My system is currently set up to push quark releasing catalysts into the input bus in this order. Up, down, charm, strange, top, bottom. Up, charm, top, down, strange, bottom. Charm, down, bottom, strange, up, top. Why have I done this? Let's think about all the different possible pairs of combinations, keeping in mind that up, down is the same as down, up, and so on. We've got 6 quarks, so let's just start with the up quark. Possible pairs are up, charm, up, top, up, down, up, strange, and up, bottom. Next, all the charm quark variations. Up is already part of up charm, so charm just starts with the rest. Charm top, charm down, charm strange, and charm bottom. Top is matched with top down, top strange, and top bottom. Down is matched with down strange and down bottom. And finally, the last combination is strange and bottom. Remember that you can swap the order of these letters and it doesn't matter. So if we write out a string of letters in some order, such that all of these possible combinations are substrings of this longer string, then we will for sure solve this every time. For example, let's say the correct solution is up and bottom. So somewhere in this string, two of the characters need to be up and bottom. It can be in order bottom and then up, or it can be in the order up and then bottom. So I've come up with this string of characters, which is the order in which I input my quark releasing catalysts. And this does have every single one of these combinations as a substring of this main string. You can look closely and you will see that every single one of the 15 different substrings is in this string. Actually implementing this logic was kind of hard, but I think I managed to figure it out. In terms of difficulty, I would say that this is on par with grade 7 water. I think they're a similar level of difficulty. In fact, I think it might be a little bit harder. There might be some trick or some block that I don't know about that would make this a lot easier, but for me, I found this to be just slightly harder than grade 7, but significantly easier than grade 5. That's definitely a skill issue though. Anyway, before I get to the solution though, I'm going to make you sit through me ranting about why grade 8 water makes literally no sense. First of all, I mentioned this before in the last episode, quarks cannot be free. So quark releasing catalysts cannot exist. You need to be at extremely high temperatures for that to even be possible. And at that point, it's basically just a quark gluon plasma. That's the main issue, is that quarks cannot exist freely. Second issue that I have with this is, what is it actually doing? Let's say we did have free quarks, right? And we're able to provide them into the water for some reason. What is it actually going to do? There are no free quarks in nature, right? Assuming these catalysts are somehow some artificial thing that allows this to happen, but in nature, you do not have free quarks. So it's not like these quarks are going into the water and capturing those quarks and binding with them or something like that. So that's not it. Is it going into the atoms and quote unquote purifying the nucleons or the baryons, the protons and neutrons in the atoms? No, because that also doesn't make sense, because every proton is up, up, down, and every neutron is up, down, down. There is no such thing as an impurity there. Especially because all the other quarks are unstable and will decay. So the only quarks you're ever going to actually find are up and down. Besides that, even if you did say these are quarks going in and knocking off quarks and replacing them, at that point you're changing what the baryon is. So you're, for example, converting a proton into a neutron, and then it's no longer water. Because let's say this happens to the hydrogen atom, right? Hydrogen has one proton, and you send your down quarks in and it converts it into a neutron. Now it's not hydrogen anymore, it's just a neutron and a free electron that's unbound now. So if anything, you're making the water dirtier. And finally, my last issue with this is the stabilized baryonic matter. What's stabilized baryonic matter? All matter is stabilized baryonic matter, because all matter is baryonic. Well, okay, not all matter. Anything that has protons or neutrons is baryonic matter. So stabilized baryonic matter is not really a thing. This is just water, essentially, at least for this. But I don't mean this to bash on the devs who worked on this. This is fucking awesome. I just wanted to bash on your slight and totally insignificant scientific inaccuracies, because it makes good content. Anyway, moving on. Back to my actual solution for this. On the main structure itself, I am pulling molten infinity and grade 7 water. These are the inputs. I need to add some kind of failsafe so that if I don't have enough molten infinity, it just turns off the machine, but I'll do that in a bit. Output hatch, nothing special there. Level emitter set to grade 8 water, 4 million liters. I should probably make it 40 million liters or something. But this basically turns off the machine if I have enough grade 8 water. On this side, I have an input bus, a ULV input bus, importantly, and I have an output bus ME. This output bus leads to a subnet I have. We'll come back to that. Now, what in the world is this monstrosity? This is a series of baby chests whose textures sometimes randomly disappear. I don't know why, but these are baby chests. And between each baby chest, there is a conduit set to extract with redstone. So this is very similar to grade 6 water with the loop of the lenses, except here it's a loop of my quarks, specifically in the order that I had before. So this is up, down. Things are in motion right now, so it's not going to match up, but this would be up, down, charm, strange, top, bottom, and then up, charm, top, down, strange, bottom, and then charm, down, bottom, strange, up, top. How do I make sure that exactly one quark releasing catalyst goes into each of these chests? Because they do stack. The answer is a limited item filter. This allows the conduit to only place this many items into the storage, and in this case it's just one. So exactly one up catalyst will go in here, exactly one down catalyst will go in here, and so on. Now this top line of item conduits is the distributor, and this just pulls from this chest, and it is always pulling from the chest. This is my little buffer chest where all of the outputs go. And the way I do that is I have a stickied storage bus with all the different catalyst types and also the unaligned catalyst. This means that AE2 will only be able to place the catalysts into this chest, where they can then be distributed into their correct places. And while things are in motion, this redstone signal will be on. I'll come back to the logic of this redstone signal, but while this redstone signal is on, it basically sends items through the loop, or through the series, and it goes into the input bus. And this is why this is a ULV input bus, because we only want to submit one at a time. Now, on the bottom of these tiny chests, you may notice that there is a storage bus. I don't actually use the storage bus, it's just to read the contents of the baby chests, because of course this is stickied, so things can only go into this big chest. The reason I need to read the contents of these chests is so that I can turn on the cycling signal only when required. Because remember that all the incorrectly supplied catalysts are returned intact, but the correct catalysts are returned as unaligned catalysts. So let's say the solution was up-down. I'm going to get back 3 of every single catalyst except for up-down, of which I will get 2 of each back. Instead, I will get 2 of the unaligned catalysts, and those need to be reactivated in a laser engraver. So we need a little bit of logic to figure out which ones need to be reactivated, because each one basically just goes into a different program circuit, and you get a different quark releasing catalyst out of it. And the way I'm doing that is with level maintainers. We read the contents of the baby chest in the subnet, and then the level maintainer makes sure that there are exactly 3 of every single catalyst in the subnet. Remember that the chests are part of the subnet storage, so it's also considering catalysts that are in the baby chests. And of course, this means you have to pattern it up. I've chosen not to pattern the baryonic matter fluid thingy because I just have it stocking input hatched, because that's easier. And because there are 2 catalysts that need to be reactivated, I have decided to put down 2 crafting CPUs. Finally, the logic for when items should start cycling is as follows. So I have here a series of AND gates with a bunch of level emitters that basically emit a signal if there are exactly 3 or more quark releasing catalysts, and there's 1 for each type. So up, down, charm, strange, top, bottom. When there are 3 of all 6 types, then there's a signal here. This signal is AND gated with this signal, which I am not sure if it's needed or not, actually. This is a holdover from my initial idea, but I left it in because it works. Basically, this is a vanilla comparator reading the contents of the chest. If the chest is empty, I'll put a signal. So if the chest is empty, and if we have 3 of all 6 types of quark catalyst, then this AND gate will return true, and that goes into an RS latch. This is the world's first documented use of an RS latch outside of the LSC, as far as I'm aware. So the latch turns on, and of course, this condition is only met when all of these chests are filled correctly. So the latch turns on, and then we start cycling the materials, and they go into the input bus one at a time. Finally, to turn off the latch, I have here another level emitter set to nothing and set to 1, which means when the subnet is empty, aka every single catalyst has gone into the input bus and has been consumed, then we turn off the latch and things stop cycling. We want that because it is going to take some time to reactivate the unaligned catalysts. What happens is a bunch of different stuff gets dumped into the chest. Conduit connector is not instant. There is slightly a delay. It only does 4 things at a time or something like that. These will get filled, but there will be 2 gaps, exactly 2 gaps. And we don't want to start cycling until those gaps have been filled. And that is the purpose of the RS latch. And so far, this has worked 100% of the time, which is awesome. And that means I have stabilized baryonic matter. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we investigate the quantum force transformer, for real this time. And we also see if we can't get rid of some old processing lines. We will also craft hypogen coils and see what that unlocks for us. If my bit about grade 8 water came off as annoyed, that was not the intention. It was purely for entertainment. HamCorp is above such base human emotions such as annoyance. Efficiency has no feelings. See you next time.